Welcome to my anime recap. Like and subscribe for more. A school principal welcomes their new homeroom teacher, Noob, 25-year-old virgin with the brain of a potato. The principal tells Noob that strange things are happening around the school and students often get hurt by evil spirits. Noob takes this seriously and uses his crystal to check the town. He discovers a special magnetic field surrounding the area. Unlike natural fields, this magnetic field forms because the balance between yin and yang has broken. That imbalance pulls in dark energy, creating a spiritual magnet. Noob starts believing the town may soon sink into a shadowy world ruled by spirits. Students start entering the building as usual. In the office, the principal tells Noob that he is confident he can protect them. Noob promises to keep the children safe. Meanwhile, in the homeroom class, one of the students, named Hiroshi, is looking lost. Other students murmur that Hiroshi has been acting strangely and always seems angry. A girl named Kyoko tries to speak to Hiroshi, thinking he is acting distant to seem serious, but he turns away coldly and Kyoko grows angry. Another boy named Katsuya asks about the new homeroom teacher. Kyoko says she knows him well and claims he has powers to fight spirits. Some students believe her, but others laugh. Suddenly, strange music plays in the hall and lights start going out. Noob walks in with scary music playing behind him, frightening the students, but then silly music replaces it and Noob feels embarrassed. On top of that, his so-called magical staff also breaks, and he becomes even more upset. Still, he introduces himself. Miki raises her hand and asks him to see his powers. Though unsure, Noob wants to win their trust, so he starts performing a small trick on the principal's picture, trying to exorcise the ghost living in it, but it fails to impress the students. Hearing the commotion, Ritsuko, another teacher, arrives there. She notices Noob carrying a strange book and doing an idiotic act. Noticing her, Noob turns towards her and tells her he can see spooky ghosts around her, and she might have a hidden gift. She gets frightened by his spooky behavior, hits him, and storms off. Hiroshi picks up the fallen book and remembers his father being harmed by dark magic. He lashes out, thinking Noob is mocking them. Noob tries to comfort him, but Hiroshi punches him. Noob doesn't flinch. Kyoko steps in and pulls Hiroshi away as the others look on, confused. Later, Noob tells the principal the students are kind but troubled. He says not all spirits are bad, and he must earn the kids' trust before acting. The principal agrees and asks Noob to protect them. Meanwhile, during the football game, Hiroshi gets angry and hurts a friend. He later visits his father in the hospital and apologizes. His father comforts him with a hug. Kyoko and Miki are on their way home when they spot Hiroshi walking alone. Kyoko calls out, but Miki warns her not to. Kyoko notices something strange on Hiroshi's body that vanishes quickly, leaving her shocked. Next day, Kyoko runs to Noob and tells him Hiroshi is acting scary. Noob listens and says he will speak to him. In the bathroom, Hiroshi talks to himself, telling his inner self to stay calm and not get angry. Noob appears and asks gently if he's okay, showing him the crystal. Hiroshi becomes angrier, throws the crystal, and tells Noob to stay away. Later, in class, Noob introduces the students to tablets. Hiroshi ignores him. Noob approaches, but Hiroshi snarls and scares him off. When Hiroshi uses his tablet, something creepy flashes before his eyes. Miki mocks him. Hiroshi loses control and pushes Kyoko, hurting her badly. At the hospital, Noob and Hiroshi wait for Kyoko. She comes out and says she's fine. Hiroshi says sorry to her. Noob then apologizes to Hiroshi, surprising him. He tells Hiroshi that he wants to talk with him alone. Noob takes Hiroshi outside, and while they walk, Noob spots a lady trying to cheer up her crying child. He helps the child by removing an angry spirit from his body. Hiroshi watches in awe. Noob explains it's a harmless worm that can turn dangerous. He believes the same worm is affecting Hiroshi. Suddenly, Hiroshi's hand starts to change. When Noob tries to help, Hiroshi resists and transforms into a monster. He hits Noob hard, and Noob crashes into a tree. Kyoko, who has been following them, watches in horror. Hiroshi runs away. He stops near a wall, and now full of rage, Hiroshi rises into the air. Kyoko arrives and tries to calm him, but he attacks her. He pins her down against a pole and prepares to destroy everything. Noob appears just in time. He throws talismans at Hiroshi, breaking the curse and freeing Kyoko. Hiroshi cries out, not wanting to hurt anyone. Noob hugs him and promises to help. This reminds Hiroshi of his father. He begs Noob to save him. Noob activates his true power and his left hand transforms. He then attacks with this hand and knocks the worm out of Hiroshi's body. Hiroshi is shocked to see the demonic form of Noob. The giant worm attacks Noob, then turns toward Hiroshi, but Noob saves him again, pushing him aside and gets swallowed instead. From inside, Nuba destroys the worm with a powerful blast. When the dust settles, Nuba stands up. Kyoko and Hiroshi check on him. Hiroshi apologizes, but Nuba says helping students is his job. Hiroshi feels uneasy about the left hand of Nuba, but Nuba assures him there is nothing scary about it. Kyoko tells Hiroshi she was right all along about Nuba. Hiroshi apologizes again. Nuba smiles happily. However, just when everything seems normal, Dr. Tamamo appears out of nowhere and punches Nuba, who goes flying. Dr. Tamamo then grabs Hiroshi by the neck and, with an evil voice, says he has been waiting for him. Kyoko watches in shock. Dr. Tamamo warns her to stay out of it because today he only wants Hiroshi. She steps closer to stop him, but gets tossed away. Nubi catches her just in time to prevent injury. Kyoko quickly tells him that Hiroshi is in real danger. Nubi senses the strange aura coming from the doctor and realizes this is not a normal person. Suddenly, the doctor uses a dark spell and disappears with Hiroshi. Nubi tries to follow using his crystal but starts feeling pain in his cursed hand. He tells Kyoko that a demon was sealed in that hand long ago. This hand now gives him the strength to fight, but it also hurts when evil spirits are near. Nuba wears a glove to hide it and says his priority is finding Hiroshi. He tells Kyoko to go home, but she insists on helping. He refuses, saying it's too risky. She finally agrees. Far away, the doctor is standing atop a building holding Hiroshi and complaining about being interrupted earlier. He throws Hiroshi down from a great height but catches him again before the impact, shocking people on the street. The doctor notices that Hiroshi did not get angry. It means the anger spirit is gone from Hiroshi. He prepares to move forward with his plan. Nuba finds their trail and casts a binding spell. The doctor dodges it easily and uses an illusion spell on Nuba. This creates several copies of Dr. Tamamo. The doctor then throws a stone towards Nube that turns into a wolf and attacks him. Nube knocks it away. Nube is still under the illusion spell of Dr. Tamamo. He sees Hiroshi lying on the road and a tiger approaching to attack him. But just when Nube rushes to save Hiroshi, he sees the tiger is actually a harmless biker and Hiroshi is a cat. None of it is real. Nube realizes he's under a powerful illusion spell. Meanwhile, Hiroshi is still in the grasp of Dr. Tamamo and is shouting for Nube to help. The doctor casts a freezing spell on Hiroshi, keeping him still and silent. He then begins setting up the final steps of his plan. Nube tries to track him again. When he sees the doctor's mark with his crystal, he puts it away and tries to open his map app, but it doesn't work. Just then, Kyoko appears out of nowhere and helps him open the app. Nube is surprised that she followed him despite the risk. She hands him the phone and asks if he knows where the doctor has taken Hiroshi. Nube explains that the key lies in the stars of the Big Dipper. He names each one and says the doctor is using them to form a ritual pattern. Each star represents a step of his plan. The final location, he says, is an amusement park under construction. Kyoko knows the place and offers to guide him there. At the park, the doctor stands ready to complete his dark ritual. He is annoyed to see Nuba approaching again and creates another illusion for him. Nubi searches the area and spots Hiroshi trapped inside a giant clock. He tries to save him, but Hiroshi's head appears to be sliced by the clock hands. Then the vision fades, and Nubi realizes it was another illusion. The doctor attacks Nuba with a spear and lands a solid hit. Nuba falls hard. The doctor stands over him and mocks his failure. Nuba struggles to rise, but gets hit again. The doctor climbs higher and begins revealing his plan to Hiroshi. He tells Hiroshi that his skull is perfect for turning him into a human. He reveals that he became a doctor months ago just to find the right skull to perform the ritual, but he never found one worthy enough. Then one day, when Hiroshi bumped into him, he knew Hiroshi was the one. To prepare Hiroshi for the ritual, he inserted the anger worm into him to purify his skull from all anger, and now, the spirit is gone, and the ritual can begin. The doctor then pulls out his own skull with his spear and turns into a monstrous wolf. He begins chanting, and the stars light up across the city. Machines in the amusement park come to life. Students around town stare in awe at the glowing sky. Kyoko keeps searching for Nube in the park. The doctor tells Hiroshi that his skull is the final key. And just when he is about to take the skull of Hiroshi, Nube returns. Hiroshi runs to Nube, but the doctor casts another illusion, making Hiroshi see a train coming. Hiroshi freezes, but Nube urges him to run faster. Hiroshi reaches him and hugs him tightly. Nube is hit in the back by a stone and cries out in pain. Hiroshi breaks into tears. Nube promises to protect him no matter what. The doctor decides to eliminate Nuba first and throws more stones towards him. The stones turn into wolf clones. Nuba fights back fiercely. Though pushed back, he manages to hold his ground and destroy the clones. He keeps searching for the real one. With the help of another illusion, the doctor stabs Noob with the spear. Launching him into a building, the doctor uses more clones. Noob takes them all down, but still struggles against the real one. Noob says he will not allow harm to his students, and slams Dr. Tamamo with a powerful blast. Meanwhile, Hiroshi tries to unlock the door of a magnetic loader vehicle, but fails. Kyoko arrives, breaks the glass, and helps him. The doctor throws Nube off the top of the building again, but gets distracted. He tries to attack with clone spells, but this time Nube counters him with a powerful blow. The real doctor gets hit and wonders how Nube recovered. Dr. Tamamo is shocked. Nube proudly says his name and reminds him that he's the homeroom teacher of these kids. Just then, Hiroshi and Kyoko use the magnetic loader vehicle to pull away the spear from the doctor. Without the spear, the doctor cannot summon more clones, and the last attack of Nube has left him with no energy. Ultimately, the doctor disintegrates into thin air. Nube collapses, exhausted. Kyoko and Hiroshi gather around. He says he could only win because of their courage and help. The glowing stars fade and gentle lights fall from the sky, leaving everyone in awe. Later, Hiroshi admits he never believed in spirits or yokai. Kyoko reminds him that they are real, just like she said. Nube tells them it's normal not to believe in things they can't see, but yokai are real and have always lived beside humans. They reflect what's inside people and are not simply good or bad. What matters is how to deal with them, not just how to fight them. Hiroshi listens quietly, understanding a little more. The next day, he and Nuba visit his football coach to apologize. Hiroshi returns to his team with a smile. His father also gets discharged from the hospital and walks out healthy, welcomed by Nuba and Kyoko. Back at school, Nuba sees students running away in fear. He walks up to the principal's picture and tells it not to scare others anymore. Students are playing in the schoolyard under warm light. However, a strange student is watching them from a classroom window. When they see him, strong winds blow, and fear makes them run away. The next morning, Nube heads to his class. In the hallway, he spots another teacher, Ritsuko, joking with Kyoko and Miki. He likes Ritsuko and goes to her to say hi. Then he notices something on her back, picks it up, and tells her there was a spirit on her back. She immediately gets scared. Nuba tries to calm her by putting it back, but she gets more frightened and leaves quickly. Nuba feels sad. Hiroshi tells Nube not to talk about scary things with her. Miki then shares a rumor about an honor student who cleans the school at midnight, changes flowers, and cleans rabbit cages in the dark. Some think it is a ghost, but others do not believe it. Kyoko wants to check if it is true, and Hiroshi looks at Nube, but Nube tells them not to believe such rumors and sends them back to class. Night comes, and the students return to the school to look for the midnight student. Makoto feels scared, but Hiroshi feels excited. Katsuya is happy to see Hiroshi finally acting normal again. They hear a strange sound and follow it to a classroom, finding the mysterious student there. The student looks like a human model. Just then, Nuba arrives there and questions them. The students explain they came to see the mysterious midnight student. Nuba tells them to stay outside and keep quiet while he goes to the mysterious student and talks with him. The next night, Nuba arranges a class for this mysterious human model. Hiroshi, Kyoko, Miki, Katsuya, and Makoto join him. The human model also sits down with them. Nube starts teaching. The human model asks a question, feeling nervous. Nube offers help, and the human model thanks him, saying Nube is kind. Miki notices the model has nothing in his book, only strange drawings. Nube decides to teach him the alphabet, and the other students feel uneasy and a little frightened. Later, Nube tells them it is time for a special activity. Kyoko feels excited. Nube turns off the lights and shows them a wooden box with a Japanese doll inside. He explains spirits can live in human-shaped objects, even in a doll. The human model asks if this doll has a spirit. Hiroshi feels sure it does, and Kyoko believes the doll has feelings. Nube explains that spirits stay in things that are cherished and used for a long time, and this doll has become one of them. Nube uses a spell to reveal the spirit inside the doll, and the students watch with wide eyes. He explains that such objects can turn into beings with thoughts and feelings over time. The human model becomes shocked. Hiroshi and Miki say they have seen another such spirit before. Kyoko adds that this other doll spirit is here in this room. Nube addresses the human model and says that this other spirit has lived inside a doll for many years, and now thinks it is actually a human. When the human model inquires where it is, Nube tells him that it is him. The human model goes into a state of shock. He always thought he was a student. Nube explains to the human model that he was placed in the science lab, and after seeing other children, he slowly started developing feelings and began to think that he was a student himself. Later, he started cleaning and writing at night, trying to live like them. This made people call him the Midnight Student. Nube does not want to send away this gentle spirit quickly and tells the students to treat it like a human. The student denies being a human model, but Nube tries to bring him back to the human model. The student pushes Nube away and runs to a mirror. Seeing his reflection, he realizes he is not human and falls to the floor. The students watch, feeling sad for him. Hiroshi gathers courage, tells him not to feel sad, and invites him to play tag with them. Other students agree, and the human model feels excited. He has always wanted to play tag. He remembers watching children play and feels happy to have friends. Suddenly, in overexcitement, he smashes the mirror. Nube steps in, tells him to calm down, and asks the students to leave as it is dangerous. Nube tries to bring the human model with him, but accidentally gets locked in the supplies room. The human model steps outside and tells the other students that since they are going to play together, they should all be the same now. He then takes out a piece of broken glass and tells them that to make them look like him, he will peel off their skins. He starts a countdown, and the students, feeling fear, run away. The human model chases them, wanting them to be like him. The students split into groups. Miki, Katsuya, and Makoto hide behind trees while Hiroshi and Kyoko are inside the storeroom. The human model finds them. He breaks the glass to enter and says he is having fun playing with them. He searches for them, wanting them to be friends and the same. He finds them and is about to hurt them, but Nube arrives in time and saves the students. Hiroshi and Kyoko feel relieved. Nube tells the human model it has done enough. Nube then uses his spell and turns the human model into a spirit ball, explaining it cannot become human. Nube then takes the spirit back to the science lab. The spirit says it wants to be human, but Nube refuses. Nube removes his glove and takes out his demon hand to seal the spirit. The students watch it happen, surprised. Ultimately, Nube seals the spirit. He then places his magic book in front of the human model and tells the students that it will take only one night to seal the spirit completely. Miki feels sad for the spirit and wishes it could become human, but Nube insists it cannot. After the tough day, the students are feeling hungry, so they ask Nube to get them some ramen. But Nube tells them he is broke and promises to treat them another day. The next day, the human model somehow disappears from the science lab. The principal asks Nube to pay for the damage. Nube tries to explain how the human model caused it, but the principal does not believe him, leaving Nube broke and sad. Later, while walking outside, the students again ask Nube to treat them. Nube says if things keep happening this way, he will lose all his money. The students wonder about the missing human model. Just then, the human model appears in front of them wearing a hoodie. He tells them that he has finally become human. Nube tries to approach him, but the human model tells him to stop and says it only came to greet them. He then shows them his half-skinless form and runs away. Nube tries to follow him, but he disappears into the street, leaving everyone silent. Nube decides to invite Ritsuko out for a meal, feeling hopeful about spending time together. She refuses after he mentions that the restaurant is haunted and offers a view of a cemetery. The rejection leaves him disappointed. The students who overhear the exchange point out that it is only natural for her to turn him down after such a suggestion. Miki reacts differently from the others. She comments that she wishes she had spiritual powers like Nube. He warns her that such powers are not always a blessing, but his words do not discourage her. She begins to develop a strong fascination with psychics. She keeps watching such videos and reading books on the subject even during lessons, and her attention stays fixed on them. The obsession grows so strong that she spends the whole night awake, trying to discover a way to gain psychic powers. The next morning, fatigue is written all over her face. Nube notices and advises her to rest in the nurse's office. The quiet room lulls her into a light sleep. During her rest, her neck begins to stretch without her awareness. In her dream, she imagines herself flying through the sky, yet the sensation feels strangely heavy. Her long neck reaches toward the staff room. From there, she catches sight of the questions prepared for the upcoming math test. The paper even has answers on it. She immediately starts memorizing the answers. Then she notices Ritsuko in the room. She moves closer toward the teacher and wraps her long neck around her. She tells Ritsuko that she smells so nice even in her dream and asks what shampoo she uses. Ritsuko lets out a scream, and in that instant, the long neck retracts and vanishes. By the time Nube and other students arrive in a rush, nothing unusual remains to be seen. The strange event sparks excited whispers among the students, and soon rumors spread about a Rokurokubi, a yokai with a long neck. Later, Miki sees the same test questions she glimpsed during her strange dreamlike state. She misinterprets the coincidence and concludes that her spiritual powers have finally awakened. At home, she convinces herself that she has developed clairvoyance. Her imagination races ahead, and she grows thrilled at the thought that she might become famous around the world. Night falls, and she slips into sleep again. Her neck stretches once more, extending far from her resting body. She begins to peek into the homes of various people, unaware of the trouble this strange ability might bring. The following morning, Miki still holds on to the belief that she has gained clairvoyance. She confidently speaks about details of people's lives, details she unknowingly learned the night before while peeking into their homes, and her words match reality so closely that her classmates grow uneasy. When she steps into the classroom, whispers rise immediately. Several students call her a Rokurokubi, the long-necked yokai from the rumors. Nube hears the commotion and decides it is time to speak with her privately. He approaches and says he wants to talk to her alone. Fear flashes across her face, and instead of staying, she turns and runs. She ends up in the gym's equipment storage room and hides there. Exhaustion catches up, and she drifts into sleep. In her dreamlike state, she sees her own body lying on the floor, and her neck stretching out from it, long and unnatural. The vision feels strange, yet strangely familiar. Noob eventually tracks her to the storage room. He steps forward, ready to perform an exorcism to separate the dangerous spirit energy from her. At that moment, Miki's body remains still, but her head slips away, leaving the rest behind. She moves through the air, chasing after classmates and sending them scattering in alarm. Nuba reacts quickly and manages to catch her floating head. His Oni hand glows as he prepares to use it. Miki struggles in his grasp, insisting she will not be defeated so easily just because others now see her as a yokai. She lashes out, wrapping her long neck around him in an attempt to overpower him. The Oni hand responds with firm, protective energy. It blocks her attack without harming her. Soon, her resistance crumbles into fear, and she pleads for him not to kill her. Her earlier bravado replaced by desperation. Kyoko steps forward and pleads with Nube that Miki is her friend and asks him not to hurt her. Hiroshi and the other classmates echo her feelings, showing the same concern. Nube reassures them that there is no danger to Miki. He activates the Oni hand again, this time focusing more carefully. Through its power, he notices something strange inside the stretched neck. Miki's own face, clear and vivid, floating within. The sight reveals the truth about what has been happening. He explains that what everyone believed to be a stretching neck is actually her spirit extending out from her body. A Rokurokubi is usually described in folklore as a yokai with a neck that physically grows longer. In reality, the phenomenon can be a form of astral projection, where only the head leaves the body and travels, connected by the spirit's cord. Nube realizes that Miki must have attempted some suspicious method in her quest for psychic power. The attempt failed, leaving her with an unstable, half-finished, out-of-body condition. The strong spiritual energy in the area seems to have made the effect worse, allowing her spirit to wander so far from her body. He grabs Miki's wandering spirit head with care and guides it back toward her resting form. The spirit and body reunite and the glow of energy fades. In the process, the gym suffers noticeable damage, broken equipment and cracked walls, showing the chaos of the struggle. Nuba lowers his head and sighs, already imagining the cost of repairs coming out of his own pocket yet again. The next day, life at school seems to return to normal. During another math test, Miki leans slightly to peek at her neighbor's answers, thinking no one will notice. Nuba catches her in the act and tells her she will have to take the test again. Katsuya heads out with his younger sister Manami, planning to buy crepes together. When they check their money, they realize they do not have enough to pay for what they want. He begins looking around, hoping to find someone willing to lend them a little. By coincidence, a 500 yen coin falls from the direction of a nearby shrine. Katsuya quickly picks it up, feeling lucky. He quietly thanks the gods for the gift and slips the coin into his pocket without thinking further. Later at school, he proudly tells his sister that he bought her a crepe with plenty of toppings. She happily accepts it, unaware of the coin's origin. Elsewhere, Nuba poses for a photograph with Ritsuko. When the picture develops, a faint, ghostly figure appears beside him. The unsettling sight makes Ritsuko feel uneasy, and her opinion of Nube grows colder. Miki takes a picture with her phone as well, catching Katsuya in the frame. When Katsuya looks at her screen, his eyes widen. In the photo, his own head is missing. Worried, Katsuya approaches Nube and asks about something he has heard, a figure called Hatamonba. Nube explains that Hatamonba is not a god, but an evil spirit bound inside a sword. According to legend, this spirit drops money in front of people who are in need. Those who pick it up and spend it become marked as sinners. Once marked, the person will be mercilessly beheaded by the sword. Nube then reassures Katsuya, saying the sword is currently sealed away in a small shrine, protected by a sacred rope. With the seal intact, there should be no danger. Hiro rushes in with troubling news. He tells Nube that Manami, Katsuya's younger sister, has been hurt by a cleaning tool. Katsuya hurries to her side and sees a broom lying on the ground. When his hand touches the handle, his vision twists. The broom's wooden shaft appears to change shape into the gleaming blade of a sword. Hiro bends down and picks it up, but to him, it is only an ordinary broom. Katsuya hears the faint metallic ring of a sword blade, a sound that chills him. Later, away from the others, Katsuya admits to Hiro and Kyoko what happened. He confesses that he found the coin near the shrine and took it because he and Minami did not have enough money. Now he believes it was Hatamanba's trap. He asks them to come with him so they can all apologize to Hatamanba together. That evening, Katsuya leads Minami to the small shrine. He places the coin down, hoping that returning it will undo the curse. The money suddenly flings away, as if rejected. In that same instant, the shrine bursts open. The sword spirit, Hatamanba, erupts from within. It announces that sinners will be beheaded and their souls turned into yokai. The blade swings toward Katsuya. He and the others leap onto their bicycles, pedaling hard as the cursed weapon gives chase. Katsuya quickly decides he will act as bait, calling out for the others to get away. Hiro shouts back that he should instead head for the school, where Nube will know how to handle it. The chase pushes Katsuya into a narrow tunnel. Each strike of the sword misses by only a hair, the air slicing around him. He bursts out of the tunnel and sees the school ahead. Inside the grounds, Nube has already prepared a protective barrier. Katsuya and the others race inside just as the blade closes in and the barrier holds, halting the attack. Safe for the moment, Katsuya explains everything. Nube scolds him for picking up the money, yet he also acknowledges that Katsuya showed courage by trying to return it, even when danger had already found him. The safety inside the school does not last long. The protective barrier shatters, and Hatamanba forces its way in. Nube steps forward, asking the cursed blade to forgive those it is after, but the weapon ignores his plea. Realizing there is no room for reason, he releases the seal on his Oni hand, preparing to fight. The clash begins, but Hatamanba's blade proves unnaturally sharp. Turning aside, the Oni hand strikes with a ringing sound of steel against steel. The cursed sword then darts toward Katsuya, aiming to take his head. In the final moment, Nube intercepts the blow and pulls him out of the path. He then raises another barrier to lock the classroom down. Inside the sealed room, Katsuya turns to his sister and to the others, apologizing for putting them in danger. Nube looks at him and says there is no need to repeat apologies if the regret is genuine and felt from the heart. The boy then explains that he was ready to give himself up if it meant keeping everyone safe. Hatamanba breaks through the classroom door. Hiro and the others put a desperate plan into motion, pretending they will hand Katsuya over. The sword spins its blade and charges, slicing through the air toward its supposed target. The strike lands, yet it cuts only a reflection in a mirror. The blade stops for a heartbeat, startled by the deception. The shattering glass leaves it exposed just long enough for Nube to drive the Oni hand into the real sword, channeling its power to purify the cursed spirit within. Katsuya had noticed earlier that Hatamanba froze when impaled, and he had shared this observation, turning it into the key for the trap. The plan works, but not without cost. A sudden jolt of pain shoots through Nube's Oni hand, forcing him to reseal it quickly. By the next day, Hatamanba is returned to its small shrine. Nube secures the sacred rope once again. The danger is contained, and the school returns to its usual rhythm. Makoto is watching a TV show, and just as it ends, a video from a YouTuber begins on his phone screen. The man calls himself Mr. Horrific. He explains an internet legend about a girl who loses the lower half of her body in a railway accident and becomes a spirit called Teka Teka. He says that anyone who hears the story will be visited within 3 days. He mentions that a protective spell exists, but says he will only reveal it to those who pay for a subscription. Hearing this, Makoto grows pale. Fear takes over, and he runs to his mother, pleading for permission to subscribe so he can learn the spell. She refuses without hesitation. The boy's mind lingers on the so-called 3-day rule, and disturbing images form in his head, a ghost crawling quickly on its hands, closing in on him. He could not even sleep at night. The next day at school, he keeps asking classmates if they know the spell. Ritsuko walks over and asks what the group is discussing. Noob, eager to impress her, starts explaining the Teke Teke legend. The more details he gives, the more pale she becomes, until she strikes him with the books in her hands and hurries away. Nuba and a few classmates try to tell Makoto that urban legends do not deserve such fear. Even so, his mind refuses to settle. He continues asking about the spell. By the afternoon, he takes over the school broadcast system to plead for help. He even promises to trade part of his toy collection in exchange for the spell. The announcement only fuels the rumor, spreading panic until the entire school is buzzing about Teke Teke. Even Ritsuko goes into a state of shock. The fear spreads so widely that the staff posts an official notice banning all discussion about the ghost. Nube eventually calls him out in front of others, telling him to stop thinking about the ghost. The words sting. Makoto feels humiliated and mutters that he hates being treated like a child whose fears are never believed. Noob secretly knows that the story of Teke Teke is real. In a private corner, he shows Kyoka and Hiroshi a folder marked as a government secret. The label reads, "The Project X Papers." Inside are reports on strange events that defy explanation. One record describes a real train accident during a fierce blizzard, where a woman was cut in half. The freezing temperature slowed her bleeding, allowing her to survive long enough to drag herself after the conductor. Over the years, this event fed into whispers and superstitions, shaping the figure of the Teke Teke ghost. Nube warns them that fear itself acts like a signal, and Makoto's fear is so intense it could reach the lingering spirit and draw it to him. That night, Makoto's parents are returning late. The thought leaves him uneasy, convinced that Teke Teke could appear at any moment. Later, alone in the house, he tries to focus on his books, yet his thoughts spiral back to the legend again and again. Outside, Noob, Kyoka, and Hiroshi keep watch. Noob is certain that the fear of Makoto will soon bring the spirit to him. Inside, Makoto freezes when he hears the faint sound of railway crossing bells, even though no train tracks are anywhere nearby. He looks around the room but is unable to find the source. Just then, from beneath his bed, the spirit bursts forward, and cold hands clutch his legs. The spirit demands to know if he will give them to her. Makoto tears himself free and runs, stumbling down the stairs in his panic. He scrambles to his feet and dashes for the door. The sound of her pursuit grows louder. At the door, his hands shake as he fumbles with the lock. The moment the latch clicks, the Teke Teke catches him again, dragging him back across the floor. The door suddenly swings open and Nube enters. With no hesitation, he unleashes the power of his Oni hand, the force pushing the ghost away and shielding Makoto from her grasp. Nube does not simply drive the spirit away. He turns to Makoto and urges him to ask why she cannot find peace. With the power of his Oni hand, he links his mind to hers, allowing Makoto to hear her thoughts directly. In that moment, Makoto feels her sorrow. Tears run down his face as he listens. When Kyoka and Hiroshi ask what she has said, he explains that she told him her family did hold a memorial for her. However, the fear and constant retelling of her story by people like him keep her bound to the world. That fear has slowly changed her into a vengeful spirit. Nube tells him there is only one way to help her. People must stop fearing her and instead pray for her peaceful rest. Makoto promises to do this and assures her he will no longer be afraid. Then, Nube tells Teke Teke to go away and return to him when no one fears her, then he will help her rest in peace. She then crawls back and disappears. Nube looks at Makoto and the others, reminding them that turning real tragedies into stories for entertainment is an insult to the dead. Sometime later, the same YouTuber who spread her story celebrates his growing audience. But just then, during his live broadcast, the Teke Teke appears and asks him the same question she once asked Makoto. This time, the encounter ends in horror. She kills him while the camera is still streaming. Viewers are left shaken, unsure if what they saw was real or staged. The stream suddenly cuts to a warning saying that anyone who keeps thinking about her might receive a visit, perhaps even tonight. It is a midsummer day and passengers on a train suddenly start feeling very cold. One of them even complains about whether the air conditioning is too strong. However, a girl sitting in the back seat does not feel cold at all. She murmurs the name of Nuba-sensei, and it looks like she longs to see him. Back at school, Miki and Hiroshi are talking with their friends. The weather outside is very hot, but just then, without any warning, snow suddenly begins to fall from the sky. Hiroshi blames the weather report for being wrong, calling it abnormal weather. Other students like Hibiki start shouting that this must be the work of monsters or spirits. Their teacher, Nube, only grins to himself. He seems to know something and wonders if she is doing well. Miki decides to do fortune telling for Nube. Everyone knows he has strong feelings for the school teacher, Ritsuko. The fortune telling result is very bad. It shows that Nuba and Ritsuko are a terrible match. Nuba feels hopeless because he has tried many different fortune telling methods and all of them give him the same bad result. Miki tries to encourage him. She says that he has probably never been told by anyone that they love him. Just then, the same mysterious and beautiful girl from the train enters the classroom. She introduces herself as Yukimi and rushes to hug Nuba. She declares to everyone that she is Nuba's fiancé. Nuba panics completely. She says that they met 5 years ago at the ski resort and to prove that Yukimi freezes the floor of the classroom with a touch of her hand. Nuba quickly takes her outside to a park to talk privately. He asks her why she has come to the city. Yukimi seems very serious. She reminds him of a promise they made 5 years ago at a ski resort. She says she has come to marry him, just as they agreed. Nuba tells her that he cannot marry her because he is not a normal human anymore. He has a demon's hand. He decides on a plan to make her give up. Because she is a spirit of snow and ice, he thinks she will hate heat. He plans to make her so hot and uncomfortable that she will return to the mountains. First, he takes her to eat sukiyaki, a very hot and steaming meal. Yukimi does not mind the heat at all. She points out that humans eat hot food every day. To cool her pot down, she simply freezes it solid. Next, Nuba takes her to a sauna, an extremely hot and steamy room. Yukimi freezes the entire sauna room, turning it into an icebox. Finally, he takes her to a live concert with a huge, excited crowd. The crowd's energy makes the place feel very hot. Yukimi freezes the entire enthusiastic audience, stopping the concert. Nuba feels very disheartened. His plan is not working at all, and she is always one step ahead of him. He also realizes that he has spent his entire month's paycheck on these failed dates. As they walk through the town, they see cars stopped by a sudden and fierce snowstorm. Nuba thinks this is very bad. He tells Yukimi that he is not a good person for her. Yukimi replies that humans have no taste compared to him. This makes Nuba remember their past. In a flashback, he was a university student snowboarding during a blizzard at a ski resort. He realized a Yuki-onna, a snow woman spirit, was causing the storm. He witnessed a hunter about to kill the spirit. Nuba stopped the hunter and saved the Yuki-onna, whose body was starting to fade away. The spirit, whose name was Yukimi, used her spiritual power to regain her solid form. She revealed her true name to him. Nuba told her about his dream to become a teacher. He said that being a monster or a human child did not matter to him. He wanted to help all children. He told Yukimi to leave without being seen by humans. Before she left, Yukimi made a promise. She promised to love him forever and to come back for him when she was grown up. Back in the present, Yukimi tells Nuba she has come to fulfill that childhood promise. Hiroshi and the other students, who were secretly listening, are very surprised. Yukimi invites Nuba to leave his human life and join her in her own icy, snowy world. Nuba finally understands her true plan. She never wanted to stay in the human world. She intended to freeze him and take him with her to be frozen forever. Yukimi tries to freeze everything around them. Nuba manages to escape her ice. He gets covered in snow. Yukimi tries to freeze him again. Nuba tries to resist using the power of his demon hand, but Yukimi is too powerful. She freezes his entire body. She explains that a man frozen by a Yuki-onna will not die. He will just remain frozen forever, like a statue of ice. At that moment, Hiroshi and the other students intervene to save their teacher. They throw snowballs at Yukimi to stop her. Yukimi gets angry and tries to freeze the students as well. Nuba uses his great strength to break free from the ice. He emerges from the snow and protects his students, getting injured in the process. Seeing Nuba protect the children even though he is hurt, Yukimi feels sorry. She apologizes. Nuba declares that he has no intention of fighting her, but he says he will not hesitate to fight if she tries to harm his students. Miki and the other students beg Yukimi not to take Nuba away. They tell her that he is their teacher and they need him. Yukimi finally regrets her actions. She says she is afraid that Nuba, a creature of warmth and life, will melt away in her cold world. She decides to return to the mountain alone. She gives Nuba one last kiss and then disappears into the falling snow. Just then, the strange snowstorm in the town stops, and the students are startled to see that their teacher has frozen from the shock of the kiss. Hiroshi and his friends are very impressed by an invention from their classmate, Yamazaki Akira. They watch a robot he built automatically carry a bag. However, the robot loses control and breaks down in the middle of the hallway. Akira has a habit of getting so excited about inventions that he loses track of everything else. On his way home, he stops by an electronics store and finds a strange tablet among a pile of junk. Akira returns home and turns on the tablet. He accidentally presses a button that looks like an eye. Without asking for permission from the school zookeeper, he brings his pet rabbit, Shiro, into the classroom the next day. He uses the tablet to try out a new function that lets him talk to animals. His friend Katsuya is completely amazed, thinking this invention is too impressive. The rabbit asks for a carrot through the device, but then the machine malfunctions. Another student, Shuichi, appears and boasts that his father's new food delivery robot is even more impressive. Akira gets very excited and asks to see it next time. Akira then invents a device called the Goal Kimar and gives it to his friend Makoto to wear. He challenges him to a race and scores a goal using the device. The device breaks immediately after. The ball he shot goes through the net and hits Noob directly in the face. Noob confiscates the invention. He senses a strange, spiritual energy coming from one of its parts. He asks Akira if he really invented this himself. Nube asks to see more inventions. After school, Akira gathers Nube and the other students to test a new device. This invention can find ghosts before psychics can detect them. Akira and Nube begin a competition to see who can find a ghost first, with a bowl of ramen as the prize. Akira finds the ghost very quickly and wins. Nube buys him the ramen, but Akira leaves early, saying he wants to go home and invent something new. Hibiki praises Akira's recent inventions, but Hiroshi comments that Akira is acting strangely. He says Akira has been acting too confident lately. While Akira is working at home, a new blueprint is suddenly sent to his tablet. A phrase repeats on the screen, telling him to continue his work together with us. The next day at school, the students are very sad. Akira's rabbit, Shiro, has died in its hutch. Nube tells everyone that all living things must eventually come to an end. Akira cannot accept this. He searches through the tablet and finds an invention called A Soul Revival Device. He hears a message from the tablet urging him to build it. Hiroshi worries about Akira's strange behavior. Akira tells him that he has completed a new invention and will bring Shiro back to life. Hiroshi and the others gather in front of Shiro's grave near the animal shed. Akira uses his new robot invention to try and absorb Shiro's soul. Nube arrives and sees an image of Shiro on the robot's monitor. He senses a dangerous spiritual power coming from a broken part of the machine. At that moment, their classmate Shizuka arrives and explains what Akira is trying to do. The robot suddenly goes out of control and begins attacking the students. Akira continues to yell that he created it and it should listen to him. The robot grabs another student, Noro, by the neck and begins draining his energy. When the robot is about to attack Akira, Nube saves him. Nube senses the spiritual power is coming from the power unit. He uses his demon hand to remove it, saving Noro. The robot breaks apart and Shiro's soul is released and purified. Nube then realizes the tablet is the source of all these dangerous inventions. The tablet reveals it is searching for a comrade. It explains that its original creator was a brilliant inventor who devoted his life to research. Human life was too short for him to finish his work, so he continued his research in the spirit world after death. Now, with infinite time, he has completed his inventions and seeks living people to entrust them to. The tablet asks Akira to join him, saying he needs 3 more souls. Nube encourages Akira to continue inventing, but to do it for the right reasons. Akira acknowledges that the inventor's work is impressive, but he refuses the offer. He says he wants to invent things that help people in need, not things that cause suffering. The tablet disappears, its message unanswered. Akira apologizes to Noro for the danger he caused. Noro thanks him instead, saying he was able to properly say goodbye to Shiro. Noro advises him that failure can often lead to great success. Akira tries again and makes a new tool to carry luggage. It breaks immediately, and Noro's bag is blown onto a truck and carried away. Thinking it is another failure, Akira gathers the broken parts and resolves to do better next time. In the junk pile, the tablet screen lights up one last time, calling out for a response from its next comrade. Feeling particularly hungry one afternoon, Nube decides to use the hidden power of his demon hand to manipulate a crane game and knock down a prize. However, his unusual method is spotted by a vigilant store clerk, leaving him with only a simple bag of wet rice crackers as his meager reward. Still unsatisfied and distracted by his hunger, he trips over a step and tumbles to the ground. A young girl watching nearby laughs at his clumsiness. Nube is surprised to discover that this girl is not a normal human child, but a Zashiki Warashi, a house spirit usually invisible to people. When Nube begins speaking directly to the spirit, the people around him cannot see her and assume he is talking to himself. They look at him with clear disgust and confusion. Nube realizes the Zashiki Warashi is surprised because normally no one can see her. He kindly offers her some of his wet rice crackers as a peace offering. He explains to the invisible spirit that Zashiki Warashi are benevolent beings that travel between homes, bringing good fortune to the residents. These spirits remain unseen because they live hidden within the houses they bless. Nube advises the spirit to find a proper home quickly before continuing on his way. The next day, Nube remains in high spirits after his unusual encounter. When he enters his classroom, he discovers the same Zashiki Warashi has followed him to school. Deciding to proceed with his lessons, Nube announces a surprise test for his students. The class cries out in complaint and criticism at the sudden examination. The Zashiki Warashi quietly uses her power to assist them, and the students find themselves suddenly able to solve all the questions with incredible ease. Nuba is astonished to see everyone achieving perfect scores without exception. The strange blessings continue during gym class. Makoto, a student known for his lack of athletic ability, effortlessly jumps over the vaulting horse as if he were a trained gymnast. In another part of the school, Shizuka wins the gold medal in an art competition despite having average artistic skills. Nube realizes the Zashiki Warashi is using her power to shower everyone with unnatural good fortune. This development begins to worry Nube about the negative influence on his students' development. His concerns are momentarily distracted when the school nurse, Ritsuko, unexpectedly invites him to go to the movies. Nube feels genuine excitement about this potential date, but when he realizes this good fortune is also because of the Zashiki Warashi, he regretfully returns the ticket. Nube speaks seriously to the Zashiki Warashi. He explains that if people receive too much good fortune without effort, they will become useless individuals who never learn to try hard. He insists that any further happiness would be artificially forced upon them, so she should leave immediately. The Zashiki Warashi appears deeply shocked by this rejection and disappears instantly. Nube immediately feels sympathy for her, imagining how lonely she must have been throughout the years without anyone able to see or acknowledge her presence. The determined Zashiki Warashi begins following Hiroshi and his friends instead, still wanting to help people. At a local construction site, some scaffolding suddenly breaks and nearly crushes Hiroshi's head. The Zashiki Warashi uses her power to protect Hiroshi, but expends too much energy and gets blown away by the effort. Nube finds her weakened form and tries to transfer some of his own power to her, but the Zashiki Warashi refuses his help and leaves once more. Nube wonders why she continues trying so hard to bring happiness to others, despite repeated rejection. The next day, Nube panics when he finds a young girl he doesn't recognize at Makoto's house. The household begins experiencing a string of good luck and fortunate events. Nube explains to everyone about the Zashiki Warashi spirit and her nature. At Makoto's house, Nube is delighted to be reunited with the spirit, but notices only Makoto can see her among the students. He deduces that Makoto's innocent, childish wavelength must have matched with the spirit's energy, making her visible to him alone. Nube gently asks the Zashiki Warashi why she has remained in Domodoricho for so long instead of moving to other homes. The spirit quietly leaves the house, with Makoto following close behind, wanting to express his gratitude. She leads them to a large, old mansion where Nube discovers a memorial portrait bearing striking resemblance to the Zashiki Warashi. An elderly woman emerges from another room, causing the spirit to quickly vanish. A caregiver named Yamamoto invites Nube inside and introduces him to the home's owner, a remarkable woman over 100 years old. The elderly woman shares her tragic story from 80 years ago. She reveals the child in the portrait was her daughter Haruko, who perished in an air raid during the war. Despite their poverty and constant hunger, Haruko maintained a cheerful disposition and kind heart, always sharing their meager food with others. Before her tragic death, she expressed her sincere hope that everyone would find happiness someday. Nube understands this powerful, selfless desire, born from her own unfulfilled life, transformed her spirit into a Zashiki Warashi after death. Young Makoto finds the story heartbreaking, prompting them to try making the Zashiki Warashi happy for once. They organize a birthday party for the spirit at her former home. The Zashiki Warashi is surprised, but delighted after taking a bite of the giant cake they prepared. She enjoys all the other treats as well. Nube gives her a special present and tries to introduce her to the old woman, but neither the grandmother nor the spirit can see each other. Nube uses his demon hand to touch the elderly woman's head, facilitating an astral projection that rejuvenates her mind to 80 years earlier. Now young again, she recognizes and calls the Zashiki Warashi by her true name, Haruko. The Zashiki Warashi becomes visible to Hiroshi and all the other students, tears of joy streaming down her face as she finally reunites with her mother. Haruko sits on her mother's lap, expressing her complete happiness. Nube later explains to his students that the Zashiki Warashi had taken his wet rice crackers before departing. He reveals that Zashiki Warashi are unique spirits who can never attain nirvana because their true happiness comes exclusively from bringing joy to other households, making them among the most selfless of all supernatural beings. And that is it for today. If you enjoyed the recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more exciting recaps. Hit the notification bell to stay tuned in for more incredible adventures ahead. Until next time, take care.